Welcome back. Day 4. Yep. All right. Montag, he is at the campfire. They welcomed him. They greeted him. Hey, it's all right. You can come in. And they gave him some coffee. Very kind. Thanks, he said. Thanks very much. You're welcome, Montag. My name's Granger. He held out a small bottle of colorless fluid. Drink this too. It'll change the chemical index of your perspiration. Half an hour from now, you'll smell like two other people. With the hound after you, the best thing is bottoms up. Montag drank the bitter fluid. You'll stink like a bobcat, but that's all right, said Granger. You know my name, said Montag. Granger nodded to a portable battery TV set by the fire. We've watched the chase. Figure you'd wind up south along the river. When we heard you plunging around out in the forest like a drunken elk, we didn't hide as we usually do. We figured you were in the river when the helicopter cameras swung back in over the city. Something funny there. The chase is still running. The other way, though. So they got a little portable little battery TV. The other way? Let's have a look. Granger snapped the portable viewer on. The picture was a nightmare, condensed, easily passed from hand to hand in the forest, all wearing color and flight. A voice cried, The chase continues north in the city. Police helicopters are converging on Avenue 87 and Elm Grove Park. Granger nodded. They're faking. You threw them off at the river. They can't admit it. They know they can hold their audience only so long. The show's got to have a snap ending. Quick. If they started searching the whole damn river, it might take all night. So they're sniffing for a scapegoat to end things with a bang. Watch. They'll catch Montag in the next 5 minutes. No, I'm sorry for talking so much, but I love this part. Just to show, like, a lot of times with news, they're looking for that, like, the flash, right? They want to hold everyone's attention. And so here the author is talking about how, like, yeah, like, he went into the river, so they're looking and they're like, oh man, we can't just search the river. It's going to take so long. And everyone needs that, like these people who are so used to they're so used to the instant gratification. They need that, like, all right, well, when are they going to get him? There's no way they wouldn't get him. Yeah, it makes me just wonder about, news nowadays. If there's a chase scene, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, like, they're probably going to find someone because they wouldn't just not find it. I remember that section really just, like, made me really question, like, our news source. It's good. But how? Watch. A camera hovering in the belly of a helicopter now swung down at an empty street. See that? Whispered Granger. It'll be you. Right up at the end of that street is our victim. See how our camera is coming in? Building the scene. Suspense. Long shot. Right now, some poor fellow is out for a walk. A rarity. An odd one. Don't think the police don't know the habits of queer ducks like that. Men who walk mornings for the hell of it, or for reasons of insomnia. Anyway, the police have had him charted for months, years. Never know when that sort of information might be handy. And today, it turns out, it's very usable indeed. It saves face. Oh God, look there. The man at the fire bent forward. On the screen, a man turned a corner. The mechanical hound rushed forward into the viewer suddenly. The helicopter lights shot down a dozen brilliant pillars that built a cage all about the man. A voice cried, There's Montag. The search is done. The innocent man stood bewildered, a cigarette burning in his hand. He stared at the hound, not knowing what it was. He probably never knew. He glanced up at the sky and the wailing sirens. The camera rushed down. The hound leaped up into the air with a rhythm and a sense of timing that was incredibly beautiful. Its needle shot out. It was suspended for a moment in their gaze, as if to give the vast audience time to appreciate everything. The raw look of the victim's face, the empty street, the steel animal, a bullet nosing the target. "Montag, don't move," said a voice from the sky. The camera fell upon the victim, even as did the hound. Both reached him simultaneously. The victim was seized by hound and camera in a great spidering, clenching grip. He screamed, he screamed, he screamed. Blackout, silence, darkness. Montag cried out in the silence and turned away. Silence. And then, after a time of the men sitting around the fire, their faces expressionless, an announcer on the dark screen said, "The search is over. Montag is dead. A crime against society has been avenged." Darkness. We now take you to the sky room of the Hotel Lux for a half hour of Just Before Dawn, a program of... Granger turned it off. They didn't show the man's face in focus. Did you notice? Even your best friends couldn't tell if it was you. They scrambled it just enough to let the imagination take over. "Hell," he whispered. "Hell." Montag said nothing now. Montag said nothing, but now, looking back, sat with his eyes fixed to the black screen, trembling. Granger touched Montag's arm. "Welcome back from the dead." Montag nodded. Granger went on. "You might as well know all of us now. This is Fred Clement, former occupant of the Thomas Hardy Chair at Cambridge in the years before it became an atomic engineering school. This other is Dr. Simmons from UCLA, a specialist in Ortega y Gasset. Professor West here did quite a bit for ethics, an ancient study now, for Columbia University quite some years ago. Reverend Pat over here gave a few lectures 30 years ago and lost his flock between one Sunday and the next for his views. He's been bumming with us some time now. Myself, I wrote a book called The Fingers in the Glove, the proper relationship between the individual and society. And here I am. Welcome, Montag." "I don't belong with you," said Montag at last, slowly. "I've been an idiot all the way." "All right. I've got to ask. I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry, but for your reflective question today, so Granger wrote a book called The Proper Relationship Between the Individual and Society, right? You are an individual, and you are living in society, I think. You're coming to school, so, or not coming to school anymore for the next little while, but you're in society. What is the relationship of an individual to society, right? So the relationship parent to child, right? Parent helps child through the world. Child listens to parent. Relationship between teacher to student. You've got the teacher teaches, right? And the students, I would say the students question, right? And the students think. The teacher also thinks. Relationship to friends, right? A friend helps a friend. A friend listens to a friend. A friend is kind to a friend. A friend is just, I don't know how the language is slipping me, but a friend is like bees with a friend, you know, just to like be there, maybe be there for a friend, but like, you know, just kind of hanging out with a friend. And so there's a different relationships, and we have a relationship as an individual to society. So what does an individual do for society? What do you think? What's the proper relationship for an individual to society? And I really am thinking more about like kind of the bigger picture, like just in like what do you think is an individual's relationship to society? And to help, think of it for you. You're an individual. What's your relationship to society? What do you do uh, like for society or with society? And then how do you feel about that relationship? I hope that makes sense. Okay, again, you can pause it if you are not done. I don't belong with you, said Montag at last slowly. I've been an idiot all the way. We're used to that. We all made the right kind of mistakes, or we wouldn't be here. When we were separate individuals, all we had was rage. I struck a fireman when he came to burn my library years ago. I've been running ever since. You want to join us, Montag? Yes. What have you to offer? Nothing. I thought I had part of the book of Ecclesiastes and maybe a little of Revelation, but I haven't even that now. The book of Ecclesiastes would be fine. Where was it? Here. Montag touched his head. Ah. Granger smiled and nodded. What's wrong? Isn't that all right? Said Montag. Better than all right. Perfect. Granger turned to the Reverend. Do we have a book of Ecclesiastes? One. A man named Harris in Youngstown. Montag. Granger took Montag's shoulder firmly. Walk carefully. Guard your health. If anything should happen to Harris, you are the book of Ecclesiastes. See how important you've become in the last minute? But I've forgotten. No, nothing's ever lost. We have ways to shake down your clinkers for you. But I've tried to remember. Don't try. It'll come when we need it. All of us have photographic memories, but spend a lifetime learning how to block off the things that are really in there. Simmons here has worked on it for 20 years, and now we've got the method down to where we can recall anything that's been read once. Would you like someday, Montag, to read Plato's Republic? So guys, this is where you can do your illusion. So for the illusion, right, you're going to pick one of these, and then do just a little bit of research on it. So look it up and just see like what is Plato's Republic? What is the Book of Ecclesiastes? I'm going to keep going. Would you like to read Plato's Republic? Of course. I am Plato's Republic. Like to read Marcus Aurelius? Mr. Simmons is Marcus. How do you do? Said Mr. Simmons. Hello, said Montag. I want you to meet Jonathan Swift, the author of that evil political book, Gulliver's Travels. And this other fellow is Charles Darwin, and this one is Schopenhauer, and this one is Einstein, and this one here at my elbow is Mr. Albert Schweitzer, a very kind philosopher indeed. Here we all are, Montag. Aristophanes, and Mahatma Gandhi, and Gautama Buddha, and Confucius, and Thomas Love Peacock, and Thomas Jefferson, and Mr. Lincoln, if you please. We are also Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Everyone laughed quietly. It can't be, said Montag. It is, replied Granger, smiling. We're book burners, too. We read the books and burnt them, afraid they'd be found. Microfilming didn't pay off. We were always traveling. We didn't want to bury the film and come back later. Always the chance of discovery. Better to keep it in the old heads, where no one can see it or suspect it. We are all bits and pieces of history and literature and international law, Byron, Tom Paine, Machiavelli, or Christ. It's here, and the hour's late, and the war's begun, and we are out here, and the city is there, all wrapped up in its own coat of 1,000 colors. What do you think, Montag? I think I was blind, trying to go at things my way, planting books in firemen's houses and sending in alarms. You did what you had to do, carried out on a national scale. It might have worked beautifully, but our way is simpler, and we think better. All we want to do is keep the knowledge, and we think we will need. All we want to do is keep the knowledge we think we will need intact and safe. We're not out to incite or anger anyone yet. For if we are destroyed, the knowledge is dead, perhaps for good. Alright, and we are going to end it there. Please do the illusion. So I said a lot of different names. If you decide to do a name, please list different different books that they read, and at least one of them give like what is right, like who is Schopenhauer, and like what was he about. Like a lot of people they have like a main thing, you know. So like this guy, Ray Bradbury, he's a sci-fi writer. So this is technically, right, like a type of sci-fi. But, you know, he wrote this dystopia, which he is most famous for. So he did sci-fi, but he loved to comment on our society. Yeah, so do one illusion, and yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow.